When we think of accents, we usually think of people. Someone from Texas sounds different from someone in New York, and someone in London sounds way different than someone from Sydney. But what about our furry best friends? Do dogs bark with accents? It's a fun question, and believe it or not, there's actually some science behind the idea that dogs' barks can vary depending on where they live and who they grew up around. First off, it's good to know that dogs don't talk the way that humans do. Their barks, howls, growls, and whines are mostly emotional. They're not putting together sentences or following grammar rules like we are. But that doesn't mean their sounds are all the same. Far from it. In fact, researchers have noticed some pretty interesting differences in how dogs bark depending on their environment. Dr. Stanley Coren, a well-known canine expert, has pointed out that dogs are amazing at picking up on their surroundings, and that includes adjusting their barks. For example, a dog living in a noisy, crowded city might develop short and sharp barks that are easier to hear over the background noise. Meanwhile, a dog out in the farm might have a deeper, slower bark that carries better over wide open spaces. There's also some evidence that dogs mirror the way humans talk. A 2003 study by psychologist Deborah Wells found that dogs react differently to different human accents. Some dogs seemed more excited or confused when hearing unfamiliar accents. It's not a huge leap to think that if dogs are paying attention to how we speak, they might subtly adjust the rhythm and tone of their own barks to fit in with the humans around them. And it's not just science. Dog owners themselves have been saying for years that their pets sound different depending on where they live. A survey by a British pet insurance company called Directline found that people thought dogs in Liverpool had a more high-pitched bark, while dogs in Scotland had a deeper, growlier bark. Okay, it's not a peer-reviewed research study, but when enough people start to notice the same thing, it's worth paying attention to. And if you look at the animal kingdom, this kind of thing isn't all that unusual. Lots of animals have regional dialects. Birds, for example, sing different songs depending on where they live, even if they're not from the same species. Whales and dolphins also have their own versions of regional calls, so it's not crazy to think that dogs who are super social and spend their lives adapting to humans might pick up some local flavor in their barking. And puppy studies, which is really an area where I want to get more involved in, they back this up as well. Puppies raised together often end up with similar styles of barking, suggesting that barking is at least partly learned. And breeds known for being more vocal, like beagles and huskies, show even more variation depending on how they're raised. That said, it's important to be clear. When scientists talk about accents, they usually mean consistent, systematic differences in how people pronounce words. Dogs don't have anything that strict or structured going on. Their barking differences are more about tone, rhythm, and emotional expression than about formal language rules. So technically, calling it an accent might be stretching the definition a bit. Still, if birds can have regional songs and whales can have different calls, why shouldn't dogs have their own version of accents? Whether it's because of the way their humans talk, the noise levels of their hometown, or just the dogs they grew up around, it's pretty clear that a dog's bark isn't just one size fits all. That brings me to the end of this video. Dog owners, comment below. Does your dog have an accent? Did it change when you moved from place to place? We'd love to hear in the comment section.